believe we are back. It's been a while, but because of the whole situation with Hollywood, there was always like not a whole lot to talk about. We could have literally put together a topic worthy of news previously, and then nothing.
Yeah, it would have just been a clown show.
I mean, that's kind of what we're gonna have today. So,
how dare you, Tristan? The CEOs deserve that 12th yacht. How dare you?
Are you sure?
Yes,
positive. They deserve.
I mean, what else does Zaslav deserve for just chucking movies in the bin for tax reasons?
Oh, that's easy. Games as a service is a really good business model that they're gonna straight go through with. So.
Everything's coming up Zaslav as the walls collapse and the stock keeps dropping.
He's even got his own lawsuit or whatever it is from.
It's true. Which
the government.
There's going to be plenty to actually talk about because, there's so much that's been happening recently. But you know what? Before we get into that, I forgot how this show's supposed to be handled. Let me at least introduce us all. As always, I am your host, Armin. You guys can find my stuff links down in the link tree down below. And as always, I am joined by Mitch.
This show has never had a way you're supposed to do it.
That's true. That's true.
In the 15 years you've been doing this, there's never been an actual.
This is a lie. I will admit to this. I'm trying to keep it structured because we have a esteemed guest here who I shall introduce in a little bit. Esteemed, yes. Yeah. Yes. But we are also joined by Tristan.
If we're using this recording for the video image, I have no explanation why I'm a Diglett. So, yeah.
And if people don't know, they're like, wait, he's a Diglett? What? Maybe I'll just toss up the image on screen. I'm not sure. We are also joined by Mr. Humongous himself, apparently, Ricardo.
Yeah, I'm alive. America.
Yeah. It's Ricardo's alive. Yes. And now, to bring it to our esteemed guest, who is definitely going to make this show more palatable and definitely better structured, Jared from the Nerd Academy podcast.
Listen.
This man likes Miles' new suit in the Spider-Man game. He's not staying.
Time to kick him.
Oh my god, we're recording in StreamYard. We're recording this in StreamYard. I need everybody at home to know the moment Mitch said that, I saw everybody who wasn't me's waveform erupt.
It just blew up.
To start yelling at me for having taste.
Here's what we're gonna do.
I mean,
I can personally mute him now on StreamYard, so we mute him.
It's
then
true,
we just barrage him for 10 minutes. Then we give him no time to explain himself.
This is literally how every time I'm on the Bombad cast goes. So I'm used to that treatment.
Terrible taste.
Listen, man,
Horrendous
I have an advanced palate. And I can't expect all of you to keep up with it.
You're not even being paid by Adidas to like it. That's
Didn't the British Queen said that before she, did the thing?
What, die?
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to say it. I'm not British.
Quite dead. She's probably on an island somewhere, like the other dimension she came from.
But yeah, no, I'm very happy and excited to be here. I love being on CBC. I think it's been a hot minute since I've been on the main show.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to chop it up. All kinds of wild and fun and kooky things happening in the world of superhero entertainment.
Exactly.
I will say real quick, I'm gonna wax poetic here for a second. I touched on this with Mitch during our Loki spoiler cast, either on the Nerd Academy or here. I can't remember which.
One of the three we did.
I was making my way through that MCU book a week or so ago, and it got to the part where they were talking about the Spider-Man deal and how Sony and Marvel Studios sharing the rights to Spidey, and I had this very nostalgic flashback to when I was in 10th grade. I was in high school when the interview based cyber attack happened, and all those emails leaked. And I was sitting in my Nana's basement. My little brother was playing Minecraft on her Xbox, and I was listening to the CBC episode about the Sony email leaks, and it made me feel warm and cozy because I remember it was Christmas time, so like all the lights were up, Logan's playing Minecraft, and I'm sitting here, and the one of the only times I ever heard my brother laugh at the kind of like weird cape stuff news things I always watched was Armin saying, I don't even remember the context fully, but saying something to the effect of, it does not matter how popular or ubiquitous superhero media is, no matter what, there's going to be somebody at opening night of Avengers Age of Ultron wearing a Superman shirt who is going to be sincerely disappointed when Superman doesn't show up.
Yeah, and you know what? And it does, and it did happen. So
it did happen. It came full circle because a few months later, when Age of Ultron came out, I went to the theater, our opening night screening, and there was a guy in line in a Superman T-shirt right behind me, and I was like, "Wow, Armin is a prophet." So then, when I grew up, I decided to rip off his entire shtick, like the plagiarist I am.
Oh man, good times. It's been a while. Like I like that you bring up that like book, because I've also like I bought it on like Kindle or whatever. It was discounted like 50% off, so I've been slowly reading it and just taking notes. What a fascinating dive into so much, especially with like direct people working there, like lending their hand into the book. It's just kind of fascinating. So yeah, we'll definitely.
It's got no pictures. I can't read it.
Oh well, see. I hired somebody to read it for me. Exposed. I can't read either without pictures.
Wait, there's no audiobook version of it?
There is. That's what I did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn.
I didn't even.
So that means I got to listen, and then that's even worse.
I'm an Audible type guy. I'm on that Audible stuff.
We got Mr. Intelligence over here. He likes the books and the listening to them because he's rich.
I don't know. No, I will say there's this bizarre and we're going to talk about stuff like this. Obviously, there's this bizarre thing that like any peek behind the curtain in Marvel Studios is inherently in some weird way an indictment of Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Where like so many people are talking about the book, like, oh, it's so revelatory, and like you can see that like none of this ever really worked, and it's like no, like. Have any of you ever seen the documentary Star Wars Empire of Dreams?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The MCU book reads like Marvel's Empire of Dreams. Like, truly. And I was like, maybe the book will get a little bit more cynical and a little bit more Marvel bad as it goes. But it doesn't. It really does read in that same way that Empire of Dreams is like, yeah, Lucas is a little eccentric and he kind of bumped up against some of the unions, and none of the studios took his vision seriously, and this and that.
The biggest reveals in that are like, hey, Kevin Feige literally had production set up for like 5 projects, including Runaways, which they were literally set to start shooting, and then Marvel Entertainment announces Runaways and embargoes it from him, and he was like, yo, Iger, what in the world are you letting them do? And they're like, whoops, we also let them take like 8 other characters. He was like, what? Like, that's the biggest reveal. It's like, and we already knew that, but we just never knew that Runaways was literally like months away from literally being in front of a camera. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, and I love it. I think it's a great read. Like I said, it's very much like the Marvel Empire of Dreams.
Yeah.
But you know what I assume is going to be a large topic here today. Marvel can't do anything with it not apparently being at death's door.
Well, thank you for walking us right into our first topic. Let's just kick off the show proper with our first topic here, the Marvels and its impact on the MCU.
The shambles.
Because, oh man, this has been a ride. I mean, opening weekend, less than 50 million. Second weekend, not even 11 million. It was
what, a 78% drop or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are reported.
You know, I think a lot of the Marvel's discourse is crazy, and and you know what, and I am slightly part of the optics problem here because like I haven't had a chance to see it yet, which is embarrassing because I love Captain Marvel, both the movie and the character. I love Ms. Marvel, the show and the character. Yeah, I just haven't had a chance to see it. I had something spoiled for me the other day, which I thought was funny because I had just talked about how much I love Kelsey Grammer's Beast to my girlfriend, and then opened Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, hello."
That's the weird thing of how not wanting to get spoiled and go on Twitter, and the first thing you see is a spoiler. So,
I was so surprised. I was like, I haven't seen anything about the Marvels, so I felt safe scrolling, and then I was like, "Oh, Kelsey Grammer's Hank McCoy. Hello." But no, I do. I think there has been some really, frankly, shameful reporting around the Marvels. I don't think anyone's going to argue with you that the box office is doing great. But the legacy trades, not just your comic books and your Screen Rants, Vanity Fair, Variety, who for whatever reason just had a taste of Marvel's blood and can't stop.
It's wild.
It's wild, and it's kind of you technically at this point you would expect it because of what happened earlier, where basically everything shut down because of the negotiations hadn't gone through yet. So this is how they get their monetary value by getting essentially hate clicks for the most part. And for me, just seeing this, it's not something that's above any type of business. Everyone needs money. It's just what are your values of specifically trying to be as truthful as you can instead of trying to spin it in a way to where not necessarily you didn't tell a lie. You just
it's omitting crucial information.
Yeah.
And it's there is this bizarre narrative now where it's the Marvels is failing because people don't like the MCU anymore. And it's okay, well, Joe Donut, who doesn't watch everything on Disney Plus, didn't have viral clips of Brie Larson or Iman Vellani or Tiana Paris on Fallon or eating hot wings, talking about the movie. There were no clips circulating because they were on late night TV. None of the promotional apparatus was there. Had people like Paris and Vellani been able to be on a microphone and talk about this movie before the release, there would have been a bigger push. I absolutely think that you would have had people who were able to get over that hump of, okay, I haven't seen WandaVision or Ms. Marvel, and I think I'm prepared to watch, or Secret Invasion. I don't know how much that show plays into this movie, but
zero.
Of course. You mean Nick Fury running away from Earth after the president greenlit a series of alien racially based hate crimes?
Honestly, the whiplash
that doesn't get acknowledged.
The whiplash between how Fury is at the end of that show to how Fury is in this show is insane.
Yeah,
they just omit Secret Invasion from everything.
Yeah, it just goes hand in hand with how their original Secret Invasion is in the comics. People tend to want to forget that ever happened. So
well, I want to bring
Sam
up
Jackson did as well.
Jared brings up the whole situation. I'll just call it that, right? In regards to the Marvels. And he's right. I know people who, they're not like us. When they find out about a trailer, it's either sitting down to watch another movie or late night, or they'll be watching a Good Morning America or whatever. And it's oh, and here is Chris Evans to talk about the new Avengers film. They're wow, there's a third Avengers film? I'll see this Infinity Wars thing. That's how they find out. They haven't had that. And that's reflective in the box office for every single film after Barbie and Oppenheimer, because those were the last two films to get a marketing push with stars, during red carpets and everything.
And those two movies got pushed because they knew the strikes were coming.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because I think even when the strikes were, it was weird. I think the one that snuck out for me that I kind of remembered was at the Haunted Mansion, where technically Disney had a red carpet, but since the strikes were going on, none of the actors were on the carpet. Instead, Disney had all their costume characters
And
on
the
the
cat.
on the car.
Because it was
I
at
forgot
one of the
about
parks.
that.
It was
Wow.
I think it was at Disneyland where they did the premiere, and then they were like, well, we have no actors, so here's Mickey and Minnie, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to be kind of ignorant to ignore that that's a big problem. But also the big problem is now, like, let's talk about it. The Marvels fails, impact on the MCU, I'm going to say probably non-existent. Like, there's so many things you toss into why this film did the way it did, which we just did. They're not going to get rid of Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel or Monica. Like, some people are.
I mean, Brie Larson just came out like 2 days ago saying that there's stuff coming with Carol.
Exactly. So, like, it's what did this film actually do? Sure, it's not making the money at the box office, but I mean, has that stopped Marvel Studios before? All of Phase 1 was dinged in some way or another, and you had 3 bombs in a row. The Incredible Hulk, the first Captain America, and the first Thor were all bombs. I mean, still survived, so what do you know,
Well, I mean, I think you said it yourself the other day in the Facebook group where you were like, the Marvels is shaping up to be the Marvel Birds of Prey in many ways.
Oh yeah.
Like it had like removing the strike from the equation for a moment. You have the, internet hate machine, primed and ready to go because you have this movie predominantly led by women of color at that. So you already have like the fandom menace, like, machine churning, and now Brie Larson's involved, and that is a virginity Avenger level threat.
I mean, so you say that it's to me it's insane how, like, with all of the hate surrounding the Marvels and all of the, I guess, information that I want to put in quotation marks here, that all the actors hate Marvel Studios, they hate the fans, they hate everything about this, and that they're moving on, and it's just it just rubs me the wrong way when you see that all the actors, they want this to do good. It's like they're not showing that they hate this stuff, and it's just, to me, it's just like people are getting confused and are thinking one way because they either don't like the characters, and that's perfectly fine if you don't like the characters, but like, you don't need to have this insurmountable hate or disdain for the characters or the actors because you don't want to see woman character do cool things, and instead just show me white guy number 15 because I just want to see my action figures smashed together.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I went and saw the movie, obviously, opening night. It was definitely a lighter house than normal, but all the regulars I always see at this theater were all there. Everybody enjoyed it, and that's the expected crowd. But the sense I got from just kind of like some of the people I talked to that like didn't see it, they're like, "Look, I didn't like the first one. After I saw it, I'm not going to see the second one." And that's a fair criticism. That is fair.
Yeah,
that is fair. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you're wrong. You should." It's like, no, I'm not going to go pay my own money to see, like, Saw 13 or whatever comes out next if I didn't like the last 4. Like, you're a complete idiot.
Yeah, it's like if you, like, for example, it's just like if you didn't like last Jurassic Park movie, you're not going to waste your money going to see it, and if you end up hating it, why would you go see it? It's it's a waste of your time, then fine. You don't need to waste your time or money for something you don't care for, and it's also perfectly fine to not talk about it because you don't need to waste your time with it. But there are those people who won't waste their money, waste their time, and endlessly hate something that they just don't like, and that at the end of the day you're asking is like, why are you wasting time with this when to me it just feels like you just want to have some say in the in interwebs about why you hate something when you could just talk about something you like instead.
Well, I also think that, another big part of the equation here, and it's something I think is inextricably linked to the pandemic, is that I think people have gotten hip to the fact that especially the Disney stuff gets a pretty quick turnaround time on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Like relatively speaking, like you're not gonna have to wait that long. You know, like I think Indiana Jones took quite a while. I don't think it's even up until December 1st, if I'm not mistaken. But like, you know, I don't want to go to a theater. You know, people have been, you know, there's the whole, you know, people don't know how to behave at concerts anymore. People don't know how to behave at movie theaters anymore either. So you have this double-edged sword of, do I want to go to a theater to see a movie I'm not sure I'll even like? Probably have to deal with some annoying, you know, tool bags there.
Yeah.
Or do I just wait it out for a month or two and then watch it on my couch?
I mean,
Right.
That's perfectly fine. That is a good reason to not want to go as well, because like when you just said that, it brought back I think there was a news report saying that, I think was it Five Nights at Freddy's? I think was it
when there was that brawl.
Yeah, there was
on
a
opening
brawl.
night.
Yeah, there's a brawl on opening night.
It was the fight of '87. It was the fight of '87.
But yeah, it is. If you want to do that, you perfectly. It's perfectly fine. If you don't want to go to a movie theater anymore, to just wait it out. And it's, from what I remember, I think the reasoning was partly a pandemic, where they were saying that to try and get more revenue, especially with Disney's side, is that they were seeing what is the perfect amount of time to go from either the Disney Channel or the movie theater to Disney Plus, which is a case-by-case basis for the most part.
That's a
usually
major
around a
problem.
month.
Like in this economy, I've had friends literally be like, bro, I'd like to go see Blue Beetle or the Marvels, but I'm already paying, you know, I paid a year into Max or Disney Plus, and I just know the thing's going to be on there in 45 days or something. I'm like, fair enough. You know, they've trained us now. Like, you don't have to wait 9 months, like Across the Spider-Verse or something, because they don't have a deal. These studios, Disney made this promise, and it's kind of like, it has devalued Marvel to some degree, you know, like, so.
There's also word of mouth, right? Like, you know, like the movie or what, it's perfectly fine. And I don't think anyone's rushing out for an okay movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Spot on. Look, we're going to come back to this topic more in the future, especially when the box office is done, when it's all said and done, and we see what happens and we get the breakdowns of financials. Then we'll talk more about it and the impact, because the wording will be interesting when they talk about the character on, you know, future events. So we'll come back to this, so put a pin in it. But, so, let's talk about Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, boy.
So, we heard...
Krasinski fans in shambles.
Look, everybody loves Pedro Pascal right now. Like, after Mandalorian and The Last of Us, people love him. A lot of
He's
outlets...
apparently daddy.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of outlets are just saying he's outright cast. The report we got was Deadline being like, look, it's the same as the Robert Pattinson and multiple other reports, like Haley Steinfeld. I think they were first at being like, she's in talks, probably got it, but it hasn't been signed on the dotted line. That's what we're hearing in regards to Pascal. I'm honestly, if he gets it, I'm good with it. I am good with it.
Yeah.
I would need to see something of him in that role, because you know, I like Pascal. Right, Last of Us, fantastic. No pun intended. No, I love the Mandalorian. I don't know if I think he's right for Mr. Fantastic or not. It's not. You know, I don't hate the casting, but it's one of the first ones for a long time where I've just had to actually think and be like, you know what, I'm going to have to see what he does in this.
Yeah,
like, I assume it'll be good, because he's yet again playing a daddy role, but this time it's going to be his own kids. Yeah.
You know, I am 100% on the same page as Mitch. I heard about this casting like about a month ago through the grapevine, and you know, people who pay attention watching Teen App, I commented on it. I was like, you know, I heard a thing about Mr. Fantastic that I'm not 100% sold on. And I think I made some joke about fatherhood. And so I was like, it's Pascal, but I didn't want to say it because I don't want to get person who told me in trouble. But I like everything Mitch said. I love Pedro Pascal. I think he's an incredible actor. I love him in The Mandalorian. I love him in anything I've ever seen him in. And I know that he has incredible range. I know that he, as distinct as he is, tonally, can be a chameleon. That said, I am personally struggling to see the vision of his Reed Richards. I think that there is an affable nature to Reed that requires this very interesting balance between Reed kind of having his head up his own ass, but not realizing it, and being like very well-meaning and kind, but having the propensity to come off like a egotistical nightmare. And like it's just such a complex characterization that I'm like trying to imagine how Pedro does it. Not even if he can, how he does it. Yeah. That's what I'm struggling with the most, is that like, you know, like I'm prepared for like the morally, personally complex Reed Richards, and I'm just like, okay,
so
show me, you know.
I think what's up, Ricardo?
No, I was gonna say because you remember he played the Viper in Game of Thrones, and you was talking about him playing an egotistical character. Just mix that, throw it in with some Joel.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
Mr. Fantastic right there.
If he can, because like if he can act that he can't read the room, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though, that like exactly what you said, where like take a little bit of Viper, take a little bit of Joel, you get the worst parts of Reed. I want to see how Pedro melds that with this kind of like a wide-eyed science fair boy who's just like happy to explain science to his family. You know what I mean?
I have a theory on this casting that might make some people groan and probably piss some people off. And trust me, as a Fantastic Four fanatic, I absolutely love that team. Always have advocated for them in their films. It's very well documented on this channel and the podcast. Yeah. I think Pedro is not going to be Reed Richards, you know. I essentially think they're going to imagine Tom Holland's Spider-Man, age him 20 years, and that's your Reed Richards. I think they're going to try to do the Iron Man effect, the Doctor Strange style, where there's quips and emotion and you can see that there's more going on than Reed Richards in the actual just comics, because he is such a hard character to read up until you get into him, into the complexity and take him away and have him like deconstructed. You cannot sell Fantastic Four with that type of lead. And I know we're getting, Reed is going to be the co-lead and it's probably going to be Sue Storm. That's great. But he needs to have an energy. And if he doesn't, I have a feeling he doesn't come off like an MCU film. Does what I'm making make any sense? Like what I'm trying to say here? Yeah. Like it needs to look like it fits into the MCU for the fans to go, I like that. You know, he's got to have that quip and that bubble to him that people associate with everything MCU, for better or for worse.
I think as well, it's hard to look at Reed in a bubble. Right, like it's not like this is your Spider-Man cast and this is your Iron Man cast and this is your Captain America and whatever. They're all singular characters. The Fantastic Four are literally four. Like the four people are one character, right? So you're literally only seeing a quarter of everything. Mm-hmm. So like maybe when they announce the Sue and the Ben and the Johnny, then it'll start coming together a bit more.
Right.
But I think as it stands right now, you're only seeing, well, at least for me anyway, you're only seeing like literally a quarter of it. So you're not. No. I mean, obviously they need the chemistry between everyone as well. So
that's going to be paramount. That is going to be paramount, and everybody's chemistry has to have like a distinct flavor too. That's going to be part of the rub. And I mean, I do hear what you're saying. I do agree with it in part. I just feel like I think your description of like the Tom Holland Spider-Man thing is apt, because again, there is that like, oh hey guys, like I'm happy to be here. Let me science, you know. I do see that, and like I see it. I just, again, like, I'm not fully sold yet. Like I tweeted it the other day. I was like, whenever the story started making the rounds, I was like, I'm not sold. I'm excited to be proven wrong.
Mm.
You know, like I'm like, because I'm not sold on it. If I had my druthers, if I got to make the decisions, it would have been Adam Driver or Matt Smith. I think that there is an intrinsic awkwardness to those men that, like, they give off the vibe of being a happy person, but they're so weird and awkward that, like, I'm like, yeah, like, that is Reed's vibe. Is that he's nice, but kind of deeply uncomfortable all the time. And that you can kind of spin out the way that, like, Adam Driver is a nice guy. Nobody has ever had anything negative to say about him. But then you also get that clip of him with, like, the Ferrari movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're like, I don't know, F you, next question. We're like, I can see Reed in there. And I think another element to it that, again, like, I'm waiting to be sold with Pedro. He's too hot. He's too hot. I'm sorry. Like, part of Reed's charm, the issue with Reed is that he can't know how hot he is. And
well, what
part
about
of that,
the first Fantastic Four movie?
he is smoking, but he looks so much like Reed Richards, it works. But I ungruff with the Rutherford. That you just peeled that man off the page. And I defend those movies, but, like, Adam Driver, Matt Smith, they have that, like, and I don't like the term because I don't like how disparaging it sounds at first, but they have that kind of, like, ugly handsome, you know, where, like, they have a look and it's a good look and they're very good looking, but they aren't, like, traditionally handsome, if that makes sense. You know, Pedro Pascal is as leading man as you get. So for me, I'm almost like, yeah, I don't know how this Reed. I don't know how you're going to convince me this Reed, like, is awkward around girls because he looks like Pedro Pascal. Like, I don't like that. That's part of my, like, I don't fully buy it yet because it's Pedro. Like, Pedro Pascal is known for 3 things. He's a dad. He's
Without
daddy.
being
Yeah.
He's a dad and he's daddy. This is the way. Like that. Like that is Pedro Pascal. Is like he plays a dad in everything. Everybody has thoughts about him that I cannot say on a YouTube channel. And then, like, he's also, like, the guy who wears a mask. You know. I'm that's part of my hang up there that I'm like, I'm ready to be proven wrong, though.
Yeah.
I want to be proven wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
I think I see where everybody's coming from. Like, we're all kind of like, let's just wait. I think we're all at a wait and see approach. It's like, he's a good actor.
My main thing, right, is there was 2 very distinct people that I refused to ever acknowledge being in this role if it were to happen, right? One of them was Krasinski after Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Thank God we got that out of the way. It didn't work. Let's move on.
Terrible.
The other one, Jared's going to love this, was Matt Smith.
Oh yeah,
I have a passion for that man that I hate him. I don't know what it is. There's something about him that I just don't like. I don't think he can act. I hate the way he looks. It's literally everything. So if he was Reed, I would have had a meltdown.
Was it Morbius? Was it the dance?
No, it was long before that.
I'm doing the dance right now. You can't see me.
Have sex. I'm not surprised. Are you wearing the Adidas Miles suit as well?
No, I got on my Crocs, my sweatpants, and my QAnon Anonymous T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
have sex.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, by the time this podcast comes out, we might even have this officially confirmed or an actual casting. We don't know. It's still a rumor at this stage.
Might even have the Javier Bardem Galactus rumors confirmed.
True. So
I'm into that. I am very into that.
He was my Doom. And
yeah.
I'm in shambles about it.
But now we just got to default to the good old, okay, well, Doom is Mads Mikkelsen again, right? Despite the fact that
I
he's
hope,
serious.
Please. I know. Let's not do that. I love Mads Mikkelsen. Let's not do that.
I like him a lot too, and I don't dislike him as Doom. Mitch, you and I have had this conversation more times than I can count. I've said this on air more times than I can count. The MCU has dropped the ball in terms of like Jewish and Romani representation so many times that I do not think they can afford to cast a white man as Doctor Doom. I think it is like there are so many like white dudes. Hell, there are like lots of people of color who aren't Romani who I think would be slam dunk casting for Victor Von Doom. You need to cast a Romani man.
I would say so, yeah.
And this is an excellent time to pull a Star Wars, to grab an unknown. You know, like and catapult somebody's career and like create a like name or a household name.
I think
actor.
you're leading to that point where it's like Doctor Doom can make the next star. The next star doesn't need to make Doctor Doom. It's Doctor Doom, you know? It's like, hey,
I wonder if that's part of why everyone's not overly hot on Pascal as Reed, right? Because everyone's expecting this typical, like, it's a massive role. They're clearly going to get an unknown because that's what the MCU does. You know, that's what it's inherently famous for. And then it's Pedro Pascal. It's like, oh, okay. It's just a subconscious thing.
Adding another franchise to his Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I said, I just, that's my thing with Doom is that, like, you know, Mads Mikkelsen, part of what freaks me out about the Mads Mikkelsen casting is that there's going to be kind of like a flattening of Doom's timeline as well. Is that, like, if you're casting Mikkelsen, either you're going to just do what Blade and Luke Cage are doing.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, Cottonmouth and Blade look alike, don't they? Isn't that weird? But I think it's a harder sell when it's two movie level villains. Like, granted, I don't know. Again, if you like pick Joe Donut off the street and ask them who is Caecilius, maybe they don't answer you. You know, they're like, I don't know.
I can tell you right now, Ricardo's like, who is Caecilius? I've never heard of this man.
Like,
who is that?
So like, you know, maybe that'll play there. But like, to me, like when I hear Mads Mikkelsen circling for Doom, I think kind of what they did with Andy Serkis in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where, okay, you got to play Supreme Leader Snoke, where your face is invisible and you're like already doing stuff with your voice to alter it. And then Andy Serkis then gets to be Andy Serkis in the flesh, just speaking normally as Kino Loy in Andor. Sorry, Mitch. And
Andor bad.
And Andor good. Andor stands bad.
Andor bad.
But like, so maybe you can get away with doing that. But if you do that, then you skip so much of Doom's origin. Or just leave it to be interpreted, you know, and like kind of dole it out as you go. Where like, I want to see Doom. Like, for me, my ideal Doom situation is you see Victor Von Doom, you know, like as this incredibly arrogant, you know, groundbreaking scientist doing his thing in school. You know, he gets that little cut on his face. He loses his mind because of it. And then he permanently just annihilates his face by putting on the mask when it's too hot. Like, you go that route. And like, if he's already in like a green cloak and chrome armor, like, I think you missed the opportunity to get into so much characterization for him and his psychology and his pathology that that by skipping all of that to just have Mads Mikkelsen do voiceover for Doom, you've skipped on what is going to sell people on Doctor Doom.
We've always kind of advocated for that. Doom should have something before he's the villain, right? Like, there's so much more richness to Doctor Doom to just be like, and here he is, fighting the Fantastic Four and the Avengers again. It's like, oh, okay. Like,
we need like a book of Doom before.
100%.
Like, I don't know how true the rumors are. Obviously, that they're gonna go for Doom for Secret Wars or whatever. So, but let's, you know, hypothetically, if they do it, if they do, I have the feeling that it's going to be a case of, right, cool, we have our Fantastic Four and Doom. We're going to do Doom's one big moment because we have to repeat the Flash and do the only story people know. Then after Secret Wars, it's right, recast a lot of them but younger, and then we go forward with it.
It could be smart, Yeah.
You could absolutely do something like that for sure. And Mitch, you and I had this conversation not too long ago.
I don't like the idea of it, but that's what I can see.
Well, I also think that like you then add an interesting tension with Doom. That if he is the big bad of Secret Wars, if you do God Emperor Doom, that you then like every time you see Doom after that, it's almost like looking at Vader after Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Like the only reason Luke Skywalker isn't dead is because Vader chose not to kill him. And you know that. Like you walk away from that situation knowing Doom came within a fraction of a hair of controlling everything. He did for a minute, and we got lucky that we stopped him.
Right.
It's almost like expanding like the terror of Thanos entering the picture in Endgame across his entirety of his time in the MCU, where it's that like we know what you can do because you beat us already, and you beat us to such a degree that we all became desperate, that it shattered our psyches, that we all had to deal with this horrible event because of you. So you have this tension around Doom that it's like, we never know if we can actually beat this guy.
Right.
It took every single hero to unseat you from the throne of like reality. What do we do if you get a leg up on us?
Yeah, that's what I think. If it is true that they're going to pivot to him for Secret Wars, it's like that's the only thing you could do is establish him as like, wow, we never saw this coming. And then when you soft reboot, that's in the back of everybody's head, being like, oh, if he arises to that power again, you know.
You run into the risk of, we've seen what this guy can do, why do we care
That's
what
true, too.
happens next? No.
Which blows my mind, because, like, after, people are like, hey, they want to ditch Kang, what should they do next? People are like, just bring back Thanos. It's like, what? People want Thanos back? Sure, you know. People
want Thanos back because it reminds them of the time that was
nostalgia,
good.
Exactly.
That everyone was all happy pre-pandemic, right. It was the height with Endgame and Infinity War. Like people just want that feeling back.
I said it before, and I will say it again. The annoying MCU fans, the soups of the world, did to themselves in 2020 in 1 year what it has taken several decades for Star Wars fans to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Where there is this bizarre rose-tinted glasses, and I'm not even trying to litigate like the quality of the prequels. That's not a conversation I'm interested in having at the moment, but like you have so many people who have convinced themselves that like look at like even if like you know the dubious nature of those movies and their quality, but it was all just so consistent and airtight, and there was a plan and there were ideas, and now everything's falling apart at the seams.
Yeah.
Where now, you know, we got a roadmap. People went, oh, now we know where everything's going, so everything's good again because we can track the progression. Pretending that stuff like, you know, Black Panther, you know, an incredible film and a wonderful story, groundbreaking cinema, that like don't look at me and pretend that aside from like establishing Wakanda and these characters, Black Panther furthered the narrative of the Infinity Saga,
right?
Like, in terms of like Thanos and Infinity Stones and cosmic nonsense. And that's obviously not to say that all of these movies and these stories should be flattened to how does it progress the overarching narrative. But like most of the movies in the MCU didn't. You know, I think I can count on like two hands with plenty of fingers left the amount.
There's literally 6 movies that did.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
but I was just gonna say that when that happens, you see it. It's people don't want build up; they want instant gratification right now, so they don't want to wait for the inevitable. That that moment to where everything comes together and it makes sense. They just, they want it now. They don't care how they get it.
Also, I do want to just point out, had the pandemic not happened, everything they announced coming post-Endgame to the ending and the final project they revealed being Fantastic Four, that film was due to come out literally in the 3 years after they announced it. We should be watching Fantastic Four this last Thursday. That's when it was supposed to come out.
Yes.
Because the Phase the two phases 4 and 5 were supposed to already be over because that's how much content they announced, and it was supposed to be only a 3-year thing. Like, but it got stretched out. So
that means Kang Dynasty would have been next year. That's
exactly.
crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Crazy.
kind of the timetable.
And Secret Wars as well.
Man,
Yeah.
2 to 6 months.
I'm sad now because I'll never be able to watch Blade.
Yeah,
Oh,
You were never
you'll
going to
get
watch
it.
that movie anyway. Either he walks or someone dies. That's the only way that movie's not going to get made.
it's actually either he walks or somebody dies is a good segue to our next topic. Because
We have topics on this show?
Yeah, we got to talk about Madam Web.
Oh, good. Good. This is the savior.
All right.
The savior of it.
Anybody with anything positive, and since Jared is the king of terrible Spider-Man takes, take it away. You must have something
True,
positive.
true.
Okay.
No, no.
Okay. Pause. First of all, if you think my love of Miles and his suit is my craziest Spider-Man take, you should see the group chat I'm in with other like Star Wars podcasters, because they ring me daily for how I defend Spider-Man 3, in particular New Goblin. Okay? I'm not even going to talk about Madam Web. New Goblin, one of the best parts of that movie.
Oh, 'cause
I
this
love
is-
that suit.
You only
I love
like
the
it for the
design.
Looney Tunes
I
sounds.
love the fight.
That's
No, I
all
don't
you
just
like.
like it for the Looney Tunes sounds. That outfit is sick as hell. I love everything about New Goblin.
I'm not gonna
Like-
lie, because even the Spider-Man 3 video game, I tried to unlock him. I never forget that.
I like the game more than the actual movie.
Okay, so first of all, New Goblin writes. Okay, I'm just gonna plant that flag real quick. New Goblin
God.
should have been the villain of Madam Web. No, I think that there's something charming.
No,
About
choose your
Thriller.
words carefully right now. This is
What?
What?
Remember when I
Charming.
defended
There
Morbius
is a-
saying it could be good, it could be good? No, don't.
Wait,
No.
who said Morbius could be good?
Remember, I was like, well, this has the potential to actually do something, and then...
Didn't you say a name and I?
Okay,
Or was
hold
it
on.
his name?
I think somebody else backed me up on X-Men Apocalypse as well, but that was a... Oof. I'd
Oh,
rather
okay,
take the
well,
Morbius L, honestly.
I think you're just covering for Nick.
I might be.
Yeah.
All right, Jared, explain yourself.
There's something quaint and charming about the Madam Web trailer.
Because it looks like it comes from 2008.
You're right. I agree. There's like it. I don't know what to make of this movie aside from the fact that I don't think it'll be very good. But like, it's already like I went into Morbius fully like this is gonna be cheeks. This is gonna be cheeks. There's no version of this that is good. But I will see it for the lulz and because I want to talk about it on my podcast for the Morbin clicks.
See, I can't remember. I saw because there's obviously international trailers, right? And I can't remember which location got the trailer to Madam Web, but somebody sent me a thing being like they're using this as a promotion, and it says from the writers of Morbius comes Madam Web, and I was like, you should probably not put this anywhere on this thing. This is a detriment to what you're trying to do.
I'm going to assume because Morbius is a vampire, it's the European.
It has to be. It has to be some Romania or somewhere that it was.
Yeah.
Transylvania. No. But no, I will happily be going to see Madam Web, not expecting much. And again, this is part of why I brought up the email thing earlier, is that this is just such a beautiful, full circle moment that I get to talk to you guys about the Madam Web trailer in 2023. When I was like,
Wasn't this movie part of the emails as well?
Yeah, it was talked
yeah,
about.
it was
Yeah,
this
so.
Secret Agent May.
Ugh.
God.
Okay.
The Sinister Six or whatever they wanted to
Yeah.
do.
Guys, I'm excited for Madam Web. It has. I'm sorry. This trailer had so much more personality than Morbius,
I mean,
and I'm
No
like,
way.
and I'm,
I mean, when you have a movie with Jared Leto and Matt Smith, that's not difficult.
Oh, shut up. But no, I'm gonna give the movie its day in court.
Oh, it's definitely
Now-
going to have its day in court when some sort of lawsuit or something happens due to like money laundering.
Laundering.
Yeah,
Now,
me.
I was gonna
I'm gonna
say
be like, I spent money on a ticket. I'm taking you out of court.
I
suck.
now when I say it's day in court, this movie will probably be represented by like one of Alex Jones's lawyers. This movie will be represented by Norm Pattis, but it still deserves a day in court. That was a joke for 5 people, and 2 of them are on this podcast right now. But yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a shot. My expectations are on the floor. It can't be worse than Morbius. It
I
can't
think
be
it
worse
will
than
be their
Morbius.
best movie they've done.
I'm just after everything. It's like, especially with the rumors, if it is true, I'm done with like Sony superhero movies because of
With the spumuck.
yeah, because like if what it is true is that they're trying to retrofit like Venom in Spider-Man mythos as the central character. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not.
Oh, you going off the Mpreg stuff, like Venom, whatever that was?
So,
Yeah.
okay, so there was actually at this point probably like 2.5-year-old leak that was like, hey, here's everything that happens in Morbius. Hey, here's the Kraven trailer and moments from the film, and then here's Madam Web. And Morbius was 100% on point. Kraven, it's not out, but the leaks, trailers, and all those shots are spot on to the leaks. And in those leaks, they're like, so Madam Web, yes, there's a fetus Peter Parker they're trying to protect. Yes, this is going to connect to Venom being the lethal protector of Peter Parker. It's like, kill me now. Just no.
I just don't.
Venom 3 is going to have a pregnant Venom. I'm going to call it now.
Cause, like,
I
just
love
don't-
this
like-
so much.
like, I don't know what they were going for. It's like they have a whole they have their own versions of like
Tristan,
females.
the problem you have right now is you're forgetting that Rothman has huffed lead paint his entire life.
Oh, that's true.
He's all the boomers are now at that age where the lead paint is going to kick in, and it's going to kick in hard. Right? This is the result of that. Right?
How much you want to bet Uncle Ben, who's in the trailer to Madam Web, is going to be like, hey, can you call my good friend? He's a cop. His name is Jefferson Morales. Holding on the camera like it's. Oh.
So isn't it as well that it's Aunt May and Uncle Ben are the parents?
Yeah, apparently,
or
yeah.
something? That's the most egregious thing.
Dude, that's
Forget
so
everything else.
funny. This is so funny. I love it.
Who knew? Who knew that Sony was going to be like, you know what? Let's make the Parkers Targaryens. Amazing. We're just going to go in a completely different direction with this. Like,
and this is the bunch of movies that's apparently going to get merged in after Secret Wars.
Man, I hope Tom Holland really acts in his contract to kill him off in the next film. He's like, you know what?
I'm good, man. Like, to me, it's just I don't know, like, why would they put like I'm trying to think, like, what was like Sony thinking when that with their female spiders, like all of them couldn't like hold their own movie, so they just like crammed all of them into one.
All of them.
I mean, you've seen the shambles box office numbers, of course not.
I am numb with giddy. Is the only way I can describe how I feel right now. That
The
is
best part
so
is-
funny. That is all so very funny. I'm gonna be there opening night.
Of course. I mean, I
See,
will.
my favorite thing is they established that symbiote multiversal hive mind. So Venom can literally just be the same in whatever universe and whatever reality.
Yep.
You're always going to have this in the back of it. Yeah.
Great.
Oh,
Just great.
gonna have that Venom talking to Tom Holland.
Yeah.
So, we got any closing thoughts on Madam Web? Does anybody have anything to say about this thing?
I wish the suits had actual white lenses.
Yeah, that's the thing that was bugging me the most too. I was like, well, why am I seeing their eyes?
Yeah.
It's like all of it is fine,
yeah. Yeah.
Like for Sony, right? Like not in other comparisons. It's fine. I genuinely do think it's going to be their best one because it can't get much lower than Morbius. But I just wish the suits had white lenses.
Oh,
It's just weird.
That
I hope Sony loses that file. I don't want to see that movie.
They'll upload to YouTube and just drop it all.
Yeah, they'll drop it on YouTube. But yeah, one thing is like I don't know what they're doing, like what were they trying to do with Ezekiel when he had like a perfectly good
Bro, that's not even Ezekiel. Oh my god.
That's not Ezekiel. That's like Sony's Elmer. Like what the god damn. Terrible.
I can't. They really casted Spider-Man Lotus for this movie. It's honestly insane.
I'm just surprised there's 3 people here who know who Ezekiel Sims is.
All of us are here.
Let's not.
Hey, you're talking to the guy who's been thumping his chest about how the only bad thing about the Spider-Verse movies is that the Inheritors aren't in it.
Sims isn't an inheritor, though, is he?
No, but he's like adjacent to that story.
He's a suck up to the Inheritors because he wanted to live.
Listen to you, bunch of nerds.
The one thing he's done in the last 50 years is make Silk, right? Let's not.
Yeah.
Well, he first tried.
It's so funny that Silk isn't in the movie.
Yeah, it's like he first tried
No, Jared, let's face reality. She's the post-credit scene.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Either that or she's
going to walk out
Spoilers,
she's going to walk out of her
spoilers.
closet bunker and be like,
Spoilers.
hey, I think this has something to do with Spider-Man.
Oh, no. Middle of a random field.
I love this shit so much.
Silk is going to show up because it's supposed to be like a little baby Parker, right? He's going to be like, I guess by the end of the film, they're like, oh, there might be a, I don't know, jump or something, reveal like him 10 or 11 years old connected to Venom. Silk is going to be like 19. It's going to be like the Annie Padme situation where she's like, hey, little boy. You're like,
Okay.
That is so
It's Sony.
Sony. I think
It's
I think
Sony.
they pulled that off.
Padme was 14 when he was 9 and she's 14. Do you think he's gonna marry her someday? Okay, that's
and
how old they
Sony's
were
gonna
in
rip that off. Trust me. Trust me.
Aunt May gonna get bit by the spider, and that's how they're both.
Can we get Tom Hardy's Venom doing Anakin dialogue, please?
No.
I don't like high-pitched frequency noises. They're coarse and rough.
It'll be great. All right, let's stop talking about Madam Web. Screw this movie. I'm done talking.
Eddie!
We wasted 12 minutes talking about Madam Web. That's way more than... Dude, the trailer for Madam Web got beat by What If Season 2. That's all you need to know.
I can't wait for What If Season 2.
I can.
I'm so pumped. Armin, listen, I don't want to... I know I've already admitted to the fact that I've ripped off so much of your format for the Nerd Academy. I want to make one
funny
thing
because there
clear.
is none.
I just want to make one thing clear. If you keep letting out in public these bad MCU takes, I'm gonna have to usurp you. Like, it's gonna be Darksaber style. I'm gonna have to face you in single combat. Now, you're jacked, so I don't like my odds. But I might have to challenge you for the throne because I cannot believe you didn't like What If. I don't know how I didn't know that you didn't like it.
It's a series of two
Hold on. Is Ricardo going to pretend that he liked What If?
I like What If.
Yes.
My only problem was like the ending where it was just too jokey. Like, but other than that, I thought it was pretty good.
No.
Wow. I
The
guess
Watcher versus Ultron? You didn't like that?
It happened.
Oh, get out of here.
The whole of season 1 happened.
Yeah,
This is me looking at Armin's posts in like the Facebook group. I feel like Cobblepot in the Batman. What are you showing me? Come on! Like, that's me. Armin's like, Love and Thunder bad. What If bad? And I'm like, oh, come on!
Yeah, but
like,
Secret Invasion worst. Secret Invasion is the worst.
Secret Invasion.
That's fair. There is officially a new bar.
Yeah,
listen. As long as long as an MCU project doesn't end with the sitting president green-lighting a genocide of an alien species and their earthbound protector being like, peace, you can't be worse. You can't be worse. You can be Madam Web. You know what you didn't do? Let the president say, hey, let's do pogroms to scrolls. Like, as long as you don't do that, it can't be that bad.
You gotta step in the right direction. Oh, it's wild, but that is kind of like the bar. So, yeah, let's just move past this. I don't want to talk about Matter Web or anything. Oh no! I just said I didn't want to talk Sony, and we're going to talk Sony.
I was going to say surprise.
Yes.
2024 Marvel slate is only one MCU film and 3 spunk films.
And give me the spunk.
It's Sony's time to shine. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
This is
Bro.
like the image, and Deadpool is on the couch, surrounded by all the spunk, about to take it out on him, and it's going to get bad.
So there's Marvel TV coming out, though, right? I know X-Men 97 is slated for next year, correct?
Yes. There's Echo, but that's literally in January, so that don't count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, it's X-Men.
Would you hold on? Why does January not count?
I think he just means like we're gonna hit it so early. That, like,
Yeah.
And I think
That's just rude.
I think like freshman year is supposed to come out next year as well.
We are still
Freshman
rumored to
year's
get
not
Agatha in September or
freshman year's not
October.
happening.
So, yeah, freshman year.
I thought Agatha got pushed 25.
Oh, it might have too, yeah. Yeah, Daredevil ain't making it, so we might just literally have Deadpool. That's wild.
I've already accepted I'm never getting Spider-Man freshman year. I've accepted that.
I thought they cancelled that or something.
No,
They let people
no.
off.
No,
It's
what
still
happened?
alive.
Yeah, what happened with that is that they were letting some of the animation crew go, not everyone.
Yeah.
This is why I should follow the news more than I have been. COVID hit and I just kind of checked out.
Well, the only reason that I know is because I follow a lot of animation news, and that's when it hit, and people started looking into it, and they started asking a lot of the people that were working on in the animation division. We're saying, no, it's still coming. Yeah, we just had to have
a thing about freshman year since those firings, though.
Yeah, it's just some restructuring, but it's coming, and then that's when it said that supposedly it's coming next year. So,
well, if it comes next year, so am I. That was. I'm sorry. That was pure id. I apologize.
I was expecting a spunk joke.
Yeah, I was expecting you to go
You actually went for the
further than that.
No, it's fine.
I mean,
well, yeah.
like, I get it that the slate needed to be pushed back because obviously they're not going to rush things. Here's the good thing that I think wins here. Like, the Marvels, clearly nobody's seen it, so it doesn't matter. So, when we get to Deadpool, it's a long enough break, and then we have nothing else. Like, it's kind of going to be a nice, slow year, and hopefully Deadpool 3 can kind of reset expectations and put the focus on the MCU with the X-Men and Hugh Jackman. Like, I honestly think all of this might be a blessing for Marvel Studios, especially with the conversation of too much Marvel the last 3 years. Well, okay, next year you're going to get like one movie, one live action show, one that's under the Spotlight banner, so don't worry about it, and 2 animated shows.
Don't be like that.
And 3 spunks.
Don't write the Spotlight banner off. Like, it hasn't even started.
A lot of people
yet.
are though already, which is sad.
Yeah, but a lot of people also like certain things from other studios, and
True.
hey, doesn't mean they're right.
Here's my fear. I am so unwaveringly nervous for everybody to learn the wrong lessons and have the wrong takeaways from the lack of MCU stuff next year. I think there's going to be a considerable amount of people who are going to go, Marvel's finally learned, and look what movie did gangbusters for Marvel? The one with 2 white guys won't go broke. Like, there's like the grifters are gonna learn the wrong lessons, and then I'm not a bigot grifters, but who are still like hucksters and charlatans are gonna be like, MCU saved because this movie had cameos and this happened and that happened and Deadpool and chimichangas and Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I remember Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Like, it's like, people are gonna watch it and have all the wrong takeaways.
Yep.
And I'm already pre-annoyed. I am pre-annoyed with the discourse, and the fact that it's going to be surrounded by other movies that are going to be probably not great, namely Madam Web, which is going to get it's going to get the unfair go broke treatment, because it's like, look at these three Spider people that somehow came before Peter Parker, and here say like it's going to be all that, and we're all going to be in the trenches next year.
I mean, that's all true.
Like you know, I don't want to say criticizing or denigrating, but like reframing a movie we're all probably going to like and defending a movie none of us are going to like from people who have the most bad faith criticisms of it. And
I think you were going to get all that regardless if there was more than one MCU movie or not, though.
Maybe, but like next year, I think we would have run into a more frustrating version of what happened this year. Where it was like, oh, this movie bad, this movie good, this movie bad, this movie good. Where like, you know, it was what happened. Like everyone's like, oh, the MCU is dead, and then Guardians 3 came out. We're so back, and then
just hit the circle. Is MCU's dead, MCU's back, and it just kept going. But it's just basically people were championing the things that they wanted, or supposedly everyone wanted to see over the new and diverse things that they're actually trying, depending if it was good or not, and basically trying to drive home that the things that didn't go so well were bad because of, you know, they had women in it, or they had people of color in it, and they should have had these people, or they should have had, you know, more, you know, cameos and what have you. So
I mean, I kind of get like what Jared was saying, what you're saying to a degree. Like Deadpool 3 is going to set the wrong example again, and like the prime thing I saw was recently the absolutely. And I'm sorry to the person who was responsible for the video and whatever you did, but the moronic IGN video they put out being like, how to save the MCU. And they're literally like, Marvel Studios needs to rush and give us endgame moments over and over. And then they're like, but they need to not introduce new characters while bringing back characters we love, but also introduce new characters we love. It's like, you're actually moronic. You're contradicting and like it. Pointing out why
you want everything that you're going to absolutely trash them for.
Exactly. Like, it's so kind of like 2024 has that stint to it to a degree. It's like, it's going to get everything. Like, it's going to be a rough year for MCU. Let's just be clear about that. I don't know.
But hey, our man, we'll probably get Deadpool Roosevelts.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's something to fix it for us. So, Deadpool 3, we're going to have obviously more news, probably very well into the new year. I mean, they restarted production this week, so that's good.
Yeah, they have.
So, we'll talk about more Deadpool around the corner, and of course, what Marvel Studios does in 2023, because they'll be spinning up production, so stay tuned for is that why we're talking about the Kang Dynasty officially falling apart to some degree? Because I
think
I think falling apart is strong word, right?
Yeah. I think, you know, right now, I think that these are one of those stories that I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's an interesting development. You know, clearly there's no bad will because dude's still working on Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm not surprised that they're like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board here. You know, like, again, like the MCU book talks a lot about how Bob Paycheck had a really bad habit of being like, hey, make, produce, send out. You know, like all the people who love to, boo-hoo, oh, there's so many Star Wars projects that got announced that we're never going to see. And it's like, yeah, because they were announced before they were ready to say anything about them. You know, like all of that stuff was a byproduct of Bob Chapek saying, oh, do you have an idea for a Star Wars show? Tell them now.
I was going to say, what people are missing here is look at when all these announcements were made and look at fiscal year earnings calls and how they're right before it or right around them. And then realize that they were tossing these out to boost numbers. And much of this comes at us like almost the way that Zack Snyder revealed that he had to go out there and reveal the DCEU slate. He told him, he was like, wait, I thought we were just announcing Batman v Superman, not another 8 projects. They're like, just announce these and we're going to figure it out. Bob JPEG did those same things. He was like, what idea do you have? Here it is. Go toss it out there. And he tossed out terrible-looking JPEGs. So what do you know? Like, same scenario.
All of that said, I think that right now Marvel is in a transitional period, both because it's in the wake of these strikes and because, you know, so much has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so much got fast-tracked that shouldn't have been. You know, or fast-tracked in a way that was inappropriate, I should say. We are now looking at them going, okay, we have an opportunity right now in the wake of the strikes with Iger back in charge to catch our breath and maybe restructure a few things. Like we're seeing with Daredevil, like we're seeing with Wonder Man, like we're now seeing with the Kang Dynasty. You know, I don't look at this as a net negative. You know, I think that, you know, to quote a conversation that Ken Knapsack and Alden Diaz had on their new show Anytime, which is fantastic and everybody should go check out. Talking about art and media in terms of wins and losses is really reductive and like hurts the conversation. And I hear something like, oh, like their director's stepping away and some of the writers are gone. I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, at first glance that hurts to hear because that definitely means that Kang Dynasty is going to get kicked down the road a little bit more. But also, that means that they say something's not working here. We got to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the way that, you know, that we, you know, the anytime a movie has reshoots, you know, it's like, yes, there are movies that were notoriously reshot that were bad.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the fact that look at all these movies we love that also had extensive reshoots. You know, Armin, you and I are both Solo diehards, you know, like that's a different movie than the one they shot at first.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
So I am inclined to look at this story and go, oh, okay, I'm really interested to see what they're cooking. But I'm not like worried about it, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm just, yeah, this is a transitional period. They gotta work some new stuff out.
Yeah.
So the only reason why there's a negative conversation around the whole entire thing with this movie is because of Variety being like, oh, they're screwed with Kang. Like, how did they get away from Kang? Loki season 2 ends in the way they can get out of Kang. Yeah. It's like, well, that was all horse crap. So,
and that's kind of like I want to bring this conversation back around to, you know, you look at this whole, okay, he quit the project, Marvel Studios in trouble. But here's the thing. If he's working on Shang-Chi 2 and the first film got rave reception from fans, from newcomers, and people that were, you know, still like, I don't know about the MCU, maybe I'll check it out. Isn't it possible that they're like, you know what? You're having too much pressure on you doing this. Go produce these things. We'll look for somebody else whose vision for what we want Kang Dynasty is not going to take away, like, you know, resources and you from a project that you're passionate about. Like, remember, George Lucas did not direct Empire Strikes Back. Like,
nope.
And at one point, he was supposed to. And things change. And if we look back through different comic book films throughout time, go back to the original Avengers. How many people went through writing different scripts for that film? I mean, there was at one point like over a dozen people that contributed to that film, and we still got the Avengers. And directors, you know, yeah, we got Joss Whedon, and he was like the first choice because they knew he could pull it off. But there was other people in the conversation. Like, we're kind of at that point where, again, revisionist history says that everything from 2006, when Marvel Studios started working on Iron Man and the Hulk and whatever, to 2019 was perfect. They never took a misstep. Everybody knew Guardians was going to be a $3 billion franchise in the end. Ant-Man was a character everybody loved. That's revisionist history, and they never faltered once. And people are like, oh, okay, well, when did they go wrong? It's like, remember, if it ain't right, it ain't right. everybody was against Ant-Man. Like, Guardians was supposed to kill the MCU. The Russo brothers were the worst choice ever, and Captain America was going to be buried. But
no one liked Thor.
No.
The second Thor was so bad, no one liked him.
And now people are revisionist history, literally being like, no, Thor 2 was great. We hate the last two. Like, what?
Yeah, you could take it back even a little bit further, where people say everyone loved Iron Man. The comic book nerds loved Iron Man. Then it's like,
Yeah.
no,
That's my
it didn't.
favorite one. I'm like, I was in these trenches alone. How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yes, you were.
Good thing he's dead.
It's back when Iron Man
Shut
1 was announced. I remember being in my local comic book store, and somebody put up the bootleg trailer on the TV they had, right? That leaked from San Diego Comic-Con. I was sitting there and I was like, does anybody even buy the Iron Man comics? And the owner goes, no, we don't even stock them. And literally the people watch the trailer, and my best friend laughs at it and goes, wow, Marvel Studios is really going to be dead, aren't they? I was like, maybe. I don't know. It's Iron Man. Like, I don't know. But again, revisionist history has changed perception. And what doesn't help is, like, Marvel Studios loses the director to Avengers 5. Suddenly, everything around that is bad. Nobody thinks about the good. And the bad gets the majority of the share of the voice out there. And that's the one that sticks. Yeah. He could have literally come out and go, hey, guys, I wasn't a good fit for this project because I want to focus on Shang-Chi. The article will then state, Shang-Chi 2 was in trouble. Avengers director was stretched thin. It's always the one that makes it look bad. And that's what the Avengers 5 scenario is now.
And what is so frustrating, at least to me, is that so much of that negative narrative defining reporting is happening from legacy trades.
Yep. Yeah.
Like we're getting to a point where Variety and Vanity Fair articles, their headlines are reading like Soup's video titles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is deeply disappointing.
It's because Variety's not getting anything from Marvel anymore.
It's true. Have you noticed their lack of exclusives? Like, it's all Deadline and mainly Deadline now. So
yeah, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter here and there.
Which, to be fair, should have happened a long time ago when Variety just started spoiling every movie that came out.
That's
for
true.
Whatever reason.
Yeah.
So here's our review and what happens in the movie.
Which,
thanks, Variety.
I guess going around, who's actually worried about Avengers 5? Because I'm not. I got no worries about this project.
Not even a little bit.
I would really, have been about 6 months ago.
Yeah?
With how everything was going, it's like, we're going in a not great direction here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing's horrendously bad, but it's just how much we're plowing through everything. I think, like, after Loki and now that they're actually kind of taking a step back, no, I'm not worried about it in the slightest.
Yeah.
They could make it Loki-centric.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think
the whole
they can.
tree thing.
Why would you go, right, we've just done this thing with Loki, let's now make him the bad guy?
Oh, no, not him making him like the bad guy, but him being the centerpiece of what goes bad to...
he's obviously going to be... I think that's going to happen regardless because of how that ending happens, but...
Just not with King now. Just get like, I don't know, Madam Web. She goes there. She was like,
Avengers 5 spunked.
Spunk War.
Spunk War? Oh.
Spunk game.
Secret
Spunk. Spunk assemble.
Oh. This is all...
Spunk Dynasty.
Spunk Dynasty?
Secret Spunk.
I can't wait till Morbius shows up and Morb spunk all over the MCU.
Two Morb, two Spunk.
Oh, God. So, look, I think everybody gets it. We're not worried about Avengers because guess what? They haven't even started shooting. Gives them enough time now. They don't even have tentative dates anymore. Like, it's just...
If this had happened while they were shooting, it might be a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But
exactly.
Yeah.
And even then, a lot of what we said would still be true. It would just be, ooh, that's a little inconvenient timing.
Remember,
but hey.
At one point, Joss Whedon was working on Avengers 3, and he left because he was like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. And that's when they got the Russo brothers. And I remember distinctly people being like, the guys that are doing the Cap movie are going to do Avengers, it's going to be bad again because they can't do it. It's like, just stop with that. Just stop. Like, come on, you know. Same old, same old.
Yeah.
I believe that's brought us to the end of this show. It's been a good hour plus. I think people will definitely be. I think they'll be back with a welcome back podcast that's over an hour. You know.
Yeah.
Special guest. And all sorts of things happening. Again, if things happen and we talked about this when the podcast comes out, backdated because it was this. We're recording this on Monday the 20th. Obviously, it goes up to members first, and it's out on YouTube on the 25th. So, you know.
But you don't know, Armin. With every video, you have to talk about Mortal Kombat and the very recent whatever DC announced that we didn't get to.
The peanut crumbs from the DCU. Talk about
Bro,
those.
hold on. You talk about Mortal Kombat. Let me say something real quick. I have not had a chance to play Mortal Kombat 1 yet. I've been busy. I've been working a lot. I haven't had time for it. But let me just say, Omni-Man looks incredible.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna dominate the time here. I just want to say, the day I found out Anthony Starr is going to be playing Homelander, I cried a little bit.
So, do you know why that happened?
Why did that happen?
That was weird.
Who do I gotta
Strike.
fight?
He punched someone in Spain? Is that
Literally,
why?
yeah. Literally the actor strike because he's an actual actor, so he can't even provide voiceover. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they voted to strike against the studio or the developers, didn't they?
So,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
and he was stuck in 2 strikes because the actor strike and then the voice actor strike. So it's like, whoops.
Yeah, the only thing that could get
It's over, so get him in the booth. It's over. Get him in the
He
booth.
can't be worse than
That's too
Megan
late now.
Fox. He cannot be worse than Megan Fox, even if he tries. Like,
Who's
so,
playing? Do we know who's playing Homelander now?
I don't know, some random person.
They haven't
Joe
announced.
Scab off the street of Hollywood.
From what I've seen, they haven't announced the voice actor that's going to try and do an impression.
All right,
of
Joe
him.
Rogan.
Oh.
God, the Joe
I was gonna
Rogan
go
that
Ed
exists
Boon,
in the
but
Vought
Rogan.
verse is absolutely in the Homelander.
The Butcher is completely trying to take us down. Bring that up, Jamie. Bring that up. Come on. Show the Butcher, Jamie. There he is, see? So anyways, he tried
we get-
DM.
Did you just say that Soldier Boy blew up Vought Tower? Jamie, pull that up.
Listen, what you need to understand is that back during World War II, they started injecting the soldiers with compound V.
Anyway,
I can't lie. I thought you were just going to say "come" there.
Spunk!
I'm
Spunk!
coming.
Just bring it around.
Yeah.
All right,
Not even
everybody.
spunk. Just I thought you were going to say straight up "come."
Well, everybody, thank you for letting us spunk cocky all over you for an hour and a half or so.
not Spunk Cocky, no.
We'll catch you for the next one. This is derailed. Later, everybody.